Alright, today I got a video that'll probably interest a lot of you. It's 2011 F-150 with 3.5 liter EcoBoost engine in it, and it came in for a misfire concern, of course, and it had codes for cylinder 4 and 5 misfiring. So I went in and I checked the plugs out, and sure enough they were carbon tracked, just like I was talking about in a previous video. It's very common on boosted engines, and Ford recently had a TSB come out this year, late this year, that actually acknowledged it and gave us new direction as far as new plugs and of course new coil boots on there and how to change it and how it looks, in case we didn't know. So today we're going to be doing a spark plug change out on a 3.5 liter EcoBoost engine, so you guys can see it done and go through the whole procedure. I know it's pretty simple. There's good access to these spark plugs and the coils and all to get them off of there, but I'll just walk you through it because these spark plugs, carbon tracking or not, should be changed out every 50-60,000 miles. This one actually has 44 thousandths gap on it, and the gap should be 31 thousandths. Now Ford recently changed the gap also. They had a wide gap for the 2011s. Then they changed it to 31 thousandths, and then now they changed it to 28 thousandths to 37 thousandths. Anywhere in that range right there is okay. So what most guys have found is that 28 thousandths is perfect on here as far as power and preventing misfires. So we're going to do 28 thousandths, and that's what I recommend also. And Ford now recommends down to 28 thousandths also. So we're going to be doing that, and I'm going to walk you through it from pulling the engine cover off to finalizing the repair on here. Alright, I have you up here on the hood so you can see the whole process. I'll get you in for some close-ups also, but this way you can see the whole process from a behind-the-shoulders type of aspect. So if it gets a little shaky, it's because you're on the hood. Alright, so the first thing you need to do is pull this engine cover off, appearance cover, pull your oil cap out, pick it up, and then you simply lift off. Put your cap back on. And then we're going to do a real good cleaning with compressed air on here, especially around the coils and the valve cover area. Any of the lines we're going to disturb, and make sure no crud gets down into the cylinders themselves. Okay, so we're going to go through this bank by bank. We're going to start here on the right-hand bank. I'm going to go through each one of them and how to get to them. You can watch through this or skip through this, whatever you want to do. I'm trying to be as thorough as possible because there are a few different lines and stuff like that blocking some of these coils. Alright, so start with this first one up here. We're going to tuck this line out of the way, something like that. And then we can start pulling these clips off on here. These little red tangs, and they're pretty robust. I mean, they're pretty on there, so you're going to need a tool, and then we're going to push down the gray clip on here, and then it'll pull off. If you have a problem pulling it off of there, push the connector forward first, push down that clip, and then pull it off. They're pretty hard. Tucked out of the way. And you just go along and do the same thing to the rest of them. There we go. Hopefully my head's not in the way. And they're all pretty easy to access on this particular engine. It's just getting these connectors off without breaking them. Here we go. Alright, next thing we need to do is pull out the coil, and there's an 8mm bolt on each one of them. And then the coil simply lifts up and out of here. Now it may be stuck in there, so you're going to have to get a little pry tool like this, something like this, and get underneath the meaty part of it and kind of pop up out of there. That's how that looks. And these back ones, pretty much have to use hand tools for those. Might be using hand tools anyways. But once you break torque on them, they'll come out, you know, pretty easy. You just spin them off by hand faster. Either way, it's pretty, you know, free access to them. And this one will probably be stuck. Get under that meaty portion now. There's no break anything on it. Kind of get it up and out of there. They're gonna be stuck. That we can turn it like that, and it'll clear the lines. So you get that one out of there. Go to this one back here. Pretty much nothing in the way of it. It's just gonna be stuck in there. I'm trying to seal the spark plug wells up really nice on these. In doing so, it's a fight to get them out. Just gotta be careful you don't ruin it. Oh. Nice and tight. Now, before we pull the plugs out of here, let's do another thorough cleaning around and then down in the actual spark plug well. Now, as far as tools you're going to need to pull it out, a regular 5/8 spark plug socket, universal on there so it can move with our rotations of our ratchet without breaking the plug coming in or out, a 6-inch extension, and a regular 3/8 ratchet. And that'll get to all of these just fine. Now, I personally like to do one at a time as far as an open hole. Break torque on it. You hear that? That is why I like to use anti-seize on my spark plug threads. I don't like them being so dry. Even though these new spark plugs supposedly don't need it, I don't like them being dry in the spark plug wells. And there it is. And the reason why I use a universal on here at times, especially in hard access engines, is because you're unscrewing it, right, or screwing it in, and you're bound to, with your ratchet as you're ratcheting back and forth, and that's going to be, if it was connected straight shot, like so, you could actually put a lot of stress in the plug and crack the porcelain. Therefore, it takes that element out of it. I don't always do it because I'm so in tune to what I'm doing, but it's a good idea on hard to reach spark plugs. And here's the parts you're going to need. The new revised spark plug, obviously. And then we're going to put boots on all of mine because they did have that carbon tracking, and that carbon tracking can actually ruin the inside of the boot on there when it arcs out on there and cause it not to insulate anymore. So you're going to want to change those out. They're only a couple of dollars. And then we're going to put nickel, high temperature nickel anti-seize on all the spark plug threads. Just a little bit on there. Here's all the boots. And that's about the amount of anti-seize I put on the spark plug threads themselves. And then we got these all gapped to 28 thousandths. It's the best gap for these boosted engines like this. Now same thing going back, and we got that one open hole. And that's just in case we knock something down up here or something like that, and all of these, you know, chunks of rocks or whatever, or debris, or bolts go flying. They're not going in all these cylinders. They only got one that's open at a time. That's always a good idea. So we're going to blow it out one more time. And kind of garbage out of there like that. Take our brand new spark plug. And there's the anti-seize on it, like I just showed you guys in the cart there. And we're going to put it down in there and start threading it by hand, so we don't cross-thread it. if I can, I have to go in all the way, just spinning by hand like this. It's actually faster. These are very long threads on here for the boost. And what I'll do is I'll just snug them down and give them another eighth a turn or so, and that'll bring us up to spec on the torque. The actual torque spec on these is 133 inch-pounds. So you feel it, it'll stop. Let's give it a little bit more, and you're good. Move on to the next one. Now as far as changing the boot out on here, you just grab it and you twist and pull, something like that. And then we're going to grab our new one, put a little bit of dielectric grease in there like that, and then same thing, push it on and turn. And give it a little spin like that so it fully seats on there, and then you can start putting it into the cylinder. A little twist going down in there. Get your hole lined up, threaded by hand, and then you can snug it down. And then we'll make sure I get our connector back on till it clicks, like that, and then push the locking tab in. Putting your lines back you may have moved out of the way. And the right-hand bank is done. Now we'll move on to the left-hand bank. Now on the left-hand bank, the driver's side bank is a little bit harder just because there's a few more hose connections and stuff like that. It's nothing big though. Right here you got a PCV line. Unclip that, and you just simply twist it out of the way like that. And then there's an insulator right here for the high pressure pump for noise. Just kind of wiggle that and it'll come off, just hooks onto there. And the one last connection we have to take off that's special on this side is the connector for the high pressure pump, the electrical connector. Just get that out of the way. Now at this point it's the same thing as the passenger side bank. Everything's free and clear to come out of there. All the same procedures apply.